You are listening to Agri Culture, a podcast that aims to explore the stories of the people that make up our agricultural industry and culture of farming in Scotland and beyond. On today's episode...
But I just took a real confidence crisis, and it was with middle-aged men. So I always felt like when I was in work environment, they were trying to trip me up. Like they would ask me a question I wouldn't know the answer to make me look that silly person. So it really started to grate on me. And I'd done a lot of mentoring internally and with the universities. And I was like, I think I need a mentor. I think I need somebody to give me that kick that I need to build my confidence up. Best thing, I don't think I'd be where I am now if I hadn't done that. I think that it was a real crossroads. I think it's important to understand what a mentor role is, and I'm not sure that a lot of people do. A mentor role is for the ideas to be bounced off you. It's not for you to provide the answers. So it's almost having that communication skill to extract the answer off the mentee.
I'm Mary-Jane Lawrie, and today I'm joined by Julie McLaren, a Bank Relationships Director and Vice Chair of Women in Agriculture Scotland. Julie tells us about her career in banking and how her role evolved, becoming a Bank Relationship Director for Agriculture and Landed Estates, despite not coming from a farming background. Julie joined the Women in Agriculture Scotland Committee in 2024 with the aim of setting up a mentoring scheme for the organisation. Now Vice Chair, she tells us what she hopes the mentoring scheme will achieve, who it is for, and how both mentors and mentees can get involved. Hi Julie, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks very much for having me, Mary-Jane.
Can you start by introducing yourself, please, Julie?
My name's Julie McLaren. I work for a bank as a Relationship Director in Agriculture and Landed Estates. I live down in the Scottish Borders, and my client base is from Perthshire right the way down to the border, east and west. And when I've got 5 minutes to spare, I'm Vice Chair of Women in Agriculture Scotland.
Fantastic. So we'll come to the Women in Agriculture Scotland stuff in a minute. That's how we met. But can you start and tell us a little bit more about your career in banking? How did you get into banking and what drew it to you in the first place?
Oh, it's a long time ago now. So I've been in the bank for just over 25 years. I would have joined the bank at 16 if they were taking people on at that time. It was something that I always wanted to do. Mm-hmm. My dad worked for the bank in a different area. And I like numbers. Mm-hmm. It's fundamentally I liked numbers. So I joined just as I finished my degree in 2000 and started off just as a sort of customer service advisor, I suppose you would say, in business banking. I've never once worked in a branch. Okay. And then just gradually worked my way up. I've lent to all different sectors, not just into agriculture. Before agriculture, I lent into healthcare up in Edinburgh. Okay. So I commuted every day up and down to Edinburgh. And that was a key part of my career. I don't think I would have got to where I've got to if I didn't do that. Okay. Because the Borders is such a little place, so there was only a little bit of opportunity down here. And then in 2014, the bank had a little reshuffle and threw the cards up in the air, and not through choice, I landed in agriculture. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know anything about agriculture. And 12 years later, here I'm still here. And I don't think I would want to be anywhere else.
So you're not from an agricultural background at all then, Julie?
Absolutely not.
So how did you feel when you got that role then? Did you feel like your depth?
Yeah, it's a hard one to answer because lending money is lending money. Okay. It doesn't really, like, my job first and foremost is I'm a banker. Mm-hmm. So the fundamentals is exactly the same whatever sector you operate in. The difference with agriculture is you have to understand the cash flow of the farms, which is different from any other sector that you'll lend into. And then you've got the different businesses within agriculture. So a dairy cash flow is very different to a sheep farming cash flow. So whilst it's not out your depth. I had a big 14-month, I would say, learning curve where I had to understand a lot. But there's one thing about farmers. Farmers love talking about their farm. So it was very easy to learn because
Yeah.
they would teach me how to do stuff.
Yeah.
So you always get the challenge, and I've had it in every sector, but I remember having the challenge the first few months of the job, them saying, "What do you know about farming?" And I was like, "Well, as long as I know about banking and you know about farming, we're going to get on great." And it's just that kind of, it's great to learn about the farming, but the fundamentals of me is the banking side.
Yeah, of course. That's why you're there. You're there to be the specialist in banking.
Yeah.
And yeah. And did you find that farmers were quite welcoming to you then, bringing you into their family, into their houses
Yeah.
quite often?
Oh yeah, it's an absolute privilege to work with farmers because you are taken into that. You sit round the table that they eat at. So you are very much taken in to the family, and you're made to feel a part of their team. They just take you into like the whole overall team. So it's a very nice industry to work in.
Yeah, and I think I'm privileged in my role as an agricultural consultant as well because I'm going out on farm because farmers have asked me to go. We're
Yes.
not there to inspect, we're not there to issue penalties or fines or look at animal welfare or anything like that. We're there to help them. And I guess your role, whilst people often think about money and banking as it can be a stressful situation often that you're going into where people are needing to borrow money because they're in difficulty, but often they're borrowing money because they're wanting to expand and change something in their business, which is an exciting time for them.
Definitely, and I would say the good outweighs the bad.
Yeah, okay.
So I definitely would say it's not so much about that cash flow problems that we deal with. That is a small part of it.
Yeah.
But it's the great stuff, like when somebody's wanting to buy the neighbouring land, or they want to build a hen shed, which is obviously one of the most popular things at the moment. Things like that. It's great to see people achieving their dreams, and it sounds really, really corny, but as bankers, we're part of that. And when you see somebody like getting their first flock of hens in or something like that and the excitement round it, it's a really, really nice feeling to have.
Yeah.
And it's a privilege for us to be able to do that. Well, I find it is anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's you're part of that business, with the advisors and the land agents and everyone else that might be involved in those decisions, solicitors, lawyers, whatever, especially for land purchases. It can be quite a drawn out process, but yeah, very rewarding when you get to the point that everyone's aiming for.
It's a
Um,
stressful day that day.
yeah, yes, exactly. And you're saying you sort of moved into this role, was it 2014?
Yeah, 2014 I started, yeah, May 2014.
Do you think there's been changes in the way that people are borrowing money since then? Obviously, we've had some, big crises since then, like, the Ukraine war, COVID, the current war that's going on, which puts a lot of pressure on farming and other industries, of course, in the UK, but particularly on farming. Have you seen some big challenges in that time since 2014?
I think there's always challenges. So when I came in, we sort of had the dairy issue when I first came into the team. Um, the one thing about farmers is they're resilient.
Hmm.
Whatever's thrown at them, they will deal with it, and they will adapt, and they will continue to do what they do. I think where the change is we as banks now just maybe require a bit more sophisticated information to be able to help. So we're probably asking people to get more professionals involved with them.
Okay.
9 times out of 10, they're doing that anyway. But we're maybe needing the consultants, or we're maybe needing some accountancies packages put in place. But fundamentally, it's always cyclical. It's like there's always something that a farmer's got to deal with. It's just the different sectors have to deal with it at different times.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any huge changes because they just adapt so well. It might not feel like that for them, but when you're standing outside looking in and you see another like war kicking off somewhere and you see the fert go up and you see everything, straight away they're in touch with us. Straight away they're saying, right, this is the issues that I have, and we'll just work with them.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a two-way partnership. If the farmers communicate with the bankers and vice versa, then we should get to the same end goal every time. It's when
Yeah.
the communication breaks down that it's a problem.
Yeah. And you know, if you're a farmer listening to this at the moment, how do they go about engaging with their banks? Because quite often the local branches have gone. There might not be, you know, 20 years ago, I remember my dad, you know, having fairly regular meetings with the bank manager, and that just doesn't seem to happen anymore. So
Yeah.
how can farmers engage with their banks?
So obviously there's different levels of banking relationships within all the banks, and
Hmm.
they'll differ in each bank. So you will have a business banking team that are at the end of the phone.
Hmm.
So anybody that's looked after by a business banking team, you just phone through, and there'll be somebody at the other end that will be able to help you. There's another team where they have a dedicated one-to-one telephony based relationship. So they will have a direct number to that person.
Hmm.
We then, in the face to face team, have managers who will go out onto farms, exactly the same as what I do. Um, they will go out onto the farms and they will do exactly the same as what happened with your dad. They'll have that regular meeting, but they'll also be there at the end of the phone or at the end of video if they need it. And then at my level, it's exactly the same, but I obviously deal with the larger farms or the landed estates. So I probably have less clients, but
Hmm.
I'm out more regularly seeing those clients.
Yeah.
So most of my clients, I'll be either half yearly or quarterly out to see them. So for any farmer, it's understanding where you sit within the banking system, where you filter in, and having that telephone number as to who to speak to.
Yeah.
Um, if it's a case of they're sitting in a business banking offering just now and they want to borrow a lot of money to buy a farm, then that person that they speak to initially will then refer it to the correct person within their bank. And I'm
Yeah.
sure all banks operate that exactly the same.
Yeah, so you're sort of coming in for larger, you know, land purchases or big
Yeah.
expansions, you know, putting in a dairy unit or you mentioned
Yeah.
poultry sheds, that sort of thing. So you're kind of there to help advise them what money they might need to borrow and then what the payback's going to be, that sort of thing. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly that.
Perfect.
And then I think because I've worked in the team for so long and I am in the Borders, which is a very small place, a lot of people will just come to us direct if they know us. So if they're sitting in
Yeah.
a business team, they'll maybe just, their accountants will maybe pick up the phone, how do I speak to somebody? And we can do it that way as well. So it's, agriculture is very small. Like it
Yeah.
is very small and everybody knows everybody else. So there's always one way or another that you can get your way into a bank. But yeah, knowing the phone number will be the best route to start off with.
And I guess a lot of these banks now, we're seeing a lot of online only banks, you know, just because I'm guessing it's cheaper for the bank to run that way now. You know, we're all paying things digitally. There's not as a need for checkbooks anymore or, you know, physically going into the bank with cash. So you still, you've still got that important role though, because at the end of the day, farmers just want to speak to someone about it. They don't want to, you know, have to, you know, do some online form or something first. You know, it can be frustrating to jump through all these hoops sometimes. So having a person that you can speak to face is really nice. What would you say are the biggest challenges facing farmers at the moment then, when we're talking about finances?
I am a massive advocate of demonstrating debt service into my clients because I think if you don't understand how I assess whether you can borrow or not, how do you know what you can do to grow your business?
Yeah,
So I would encourage any farmer at this moment in time who has a relationship with a bank to understand what their debt servicing is,
yeah,
because when a farmer goes out to buy a big combine to reduce his tax liability, that has a huge impact on his debt servicing.
okay,
So you will have clients going out there who are trying to mitigate their tax as much as possible, but then a few months later they will come and want to borrow a few million off a bank, and we won't be able to get the numbers to work.
okay.
So we like farmers playing tax, but we also like farmers to understand the numbers and to help us get those numbers through our credit sanctioning teams. So there could be a lot of questions going back and forth, but I see that that's changing hugely on a generational basis. So the new
Right.
generation that's coming in, they understand their numbers. They've got those numbers down to a T.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say the older generation don't, but it's in their heads.
Yes.
So it's in their head, and they can, like, if we're good at extracting the information, but if you've got it where it's just all in somebody's head all the time, we can't help. So we need farmers to just get a little bit more into their numbers, understand their debt servicing, and then we should be able to help going forward. But probably that, along with the communication piece, is the other biggest part that I see it can be an issue. They need to engage with the bank early if there's cash flow problems.
Yeah.
They need to be like, if they're struggling to pay bills, we don't want to find out on the day.
Yeah.
We need to know in advance. We can't react on a day.
Yeah.
So I would just encourage anybody, if they are struggling or they are looking at projects, you engage with your accountant and your solicitor and your consultant very early on. The bank is actually probably the biggest part of that, so you should be engaging with them early on as well. Earliest engagement's the best.
Yeah, and I guess nowadays with making tax digital and all the sort of, the zeros and the Sage and all these sort of online accountancy packages, the accountant is seeing live information, much quicker than, quite often you'd get to the end of the financial year and that would be the first of the accountant getting those huge folders full of invoices and receipts and things. And that would be the first time often that farmers would have a real understanding of what position they were in financially, for the first
Yeah.
time that year. They might have had it in their heads, as you say, but
Mm-hmm.
handing it over to the accountant. So I guess there is a real opportunity there now of having more regular catch up with your accountant because they've got all the live information.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I know there will be some people listening that perhaps still operate in a paper system and somebody does the online tax for them. But I think there is an opportunity there with technology to understand figures earlier before it's a problem. And as you say, that's interesting. I would, to go and approach the bank at that point rather, because I think people are often wait until there's a crisis because they think, oh, I don't want to, flag it up as a problem now. I'll get
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
But
And I
you're right.
think to put the bank probably already know there's a crisis before you've actually called.
Yeah. Okay.
So the banks have a numerous amount of systems that can tell them what's going on with people's accounts and if there's abnormalities in the accounts and things like their transactional accounts. So 9 times out of 10, the bank might already know. The bank might get in touch with the person before the person gets in touch with the bank.
Okay.
So yeah, I just would like, with the making tax digital, um, I think there's a fear factor of it, and I totally understand that because this is something completely new. But if you can delve into those numbers and use those numbers as a way to like forward plan, then that would make life so much easier for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because if they can use that into a cash flow, and there is a blip comes along like fertilizer doubles or triples as we've seen it in the past, you pop that in, you'll see that you've got a cash flow problem coming up. The bank
Yeah.
will be able to react in a timely manner, and it'll be a smooth process. But
Yeah.
I think you've hit it on the nail. There's that fear factor. If you tell the bank, "Oh, there's a problem," everybody panics. It's like
Yeah.
the good old saying that they used to get all the time. They're going to take my keys.
Yeah.
That's what we would get. It's not like that.
Yeah.
We can help in all different ways, and there's all different teams that can help people along the way. It's just that communication.
I think another thing that people are fearful of is fraud. When you've got a paper system and you're taking your folders to your accountant, dropping them off, there's very little interception there that anything can go wrong. And I think, we were all shocked. I remember there was a spate in the borders of banking fraud, but targeting farmers particularly. And people lost tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in some cases. And I think there's the fear of doing things online because they don't quite know how it works. But I'm guessing now that the banking systems, the security you guys have got must be enormous.
Yeah, it is. It's sometimes a pain,
Yeah.
but it is enormous. We always will say, if you are a victim of fraud, it's 9 times out of 10 because you've gave somebody your password.
Yeah.
So it's knowing, just having that step back and thinking, is this really the bank that's phoning me? Is this really, somebody that I need to be making a payment to? Because I think the Borders one was somebody that was phoning up and asking people to transfer money to this account that made absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
But people still did it because they were
Yeah.
just caught at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So it's just taking that step back and maybe not reacting. I know it's really easy to say that if somebody's telling you that you're a victim of fraud, but
Yeah.
taking that step back and just thinking, is this logical? Is this happening?
Yeah.
And if you do, if you do have suspicions, I would encourage you to hang up the phone and phone from a different phone line to the bank, and the
Yes.
bank will be able to tell you.
Yeah.
The phoning from a different line is a key bit,
Yeah.
because when you hang up to these fraudsters, they've still got the line open. So when you phone through to the bank, they can hear.
Yeah.
So you have to phone from a different line. If you've got a direct contact with somebody like me, phone me, or just phone the general numbers, and they'll be able to tell you whether it's fraudulent or not.
Yeah. They're
But
so sophisticated, aren't they?
it's
That's the
scary.
trouble. Yeah. Yeah. They really.
It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. So I can understand why people are nervous about moving things online. But it's great to hear that there are still people like yourself that, people can make contact with.
Yep,
and if
definitely.
they've phoned the bank before, even just to, have a catch up about, things, then they're feel more comfortable then phoning the helpline again.
Exactly. Don't be scared of us.
Yeah. It's good advice. Good advice. So we'll move on then and talk about Women in Agriculture Scotland. So obviously working in banking and agriculture. Did you see an opportunity come up to join the committee? How did that come around?
Oh, well, I did, but not the year that I got on. So I applied for Women in Ag, I think it was 2023.
Okay.
And I didn't get on
Right.
to the committee. And I was quite downhearted by it.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest. I felt like I'm not from a farming background. And I think there's still a bit of bias towards that, shall I say, that I still think that the agricultural world is still quite strong on, are you from a farming background? Are you non-farm? There's still that little bit of cliqueiness about it.
Yeah.
So I never got on in 2023, and I was kind of like, I'm not applying again. I threw my toys out the pram. I'm not doing it. And then 2024 came along, and it was Carol Brunton was kind of like, you should have been on it last year. Can you reapply? And I was like, no, not doing it. Do you know what I mean? And then my boss was kind of like, oh, I really think you should be doing it. And he's like, you can add so much into it. You can do all different things. Just go for it. So pride got put out the window.
Yeah.
And I applied again and came onto the committee in 2024. Never looked back.
And you're vice chair now, so quite a quick turnaround.
Yes.
So what does the role of vice chair involve?
So I came on as vice chair in November 25. Cora Cooper is chair, and Cora, again, first generation farmer, not from farming background at all. So we kind of came in like a pair of tornadoes to it, I suppose you would say. I think everybody's realising that a little bit. So Cora's had me involved like side by side from day one. So we've really tried to ramp it up this year. We've wanted to do a lot of different stuff. And sometimes we bite off more than we can chew. But we seem to be making a difference. But vice chair is just really supporting Cora with what she's wanting to plan for her year. But obviously I've bolted on the side of this, coming up with a mentoring programme, because that's what you just do when you've not got any time.
Well, yeah, if you want something done, ask a busy person, isn't it? And
exactly.
Busy people are busy because they've got lots of ideas and they want to implement them. So that's a good trait, Julie.
Yes,
definitely.
I don't know. I think we both feel at the moment that we would like to curb our ideas, but they just keep coming.
You need both, you need ideas people, and you need the people that implement the ideas. So as long as you've got help implementing the ideas, that's the main thing. So you mentioned there that your boss was encouraging of you joining the committee. So obviously has an important role to play within your career as well?
Yeah, kinda. I think I've obviously been known for quite a while in the sector, but there's still like a lot of people out there that have that fear, I suppose, of the banker
Mm-hmm.
side of things. I want to knock that down. I want people to have more confidence to speak to their bank, to do more things. So I do see it as like a tandem thing.
Yeah.
I do a lot of presentations on bank themed stuff, but it's the confidence part that I really want to drive into people. And I've done that internally in the bank, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where my boss seen I could actually transfer them skills actually into women in ag as well, and build
Yeah.
up the confidence of all generations. It's not just the young generation that I would like to see more women out there doing their thing. It's every generation.
So is that what led you to come up with the mentoring scheme idea then?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. I when I was in the healthcare team in Edinburgh, I had a real confidence crisis.
Okay.
Um, I would have probably been late 20s, early 30s, and I feel it happened overnight. I really do, because anybody I'm speaking to now thinks I'm this really confident person, a bit bullshit, bit like just strong willed.
Mm-hmm.
But I just took a real confidence crisis, and it was with middle aged men. So
Okay.
I always felt like when I was in work environment, they were trying to trip me up. Like they
Right.
would
Okay.
ask me a question I wouldn't know the answer to make me look that silly person. So it really started to like grate on me. And I'd
Mm-hmm.
done a lot of mentoring internally and with the universities. And I was like, I think I need a mentor. I think I need somebody to give me that kick that I need to build my confidence up. So I approached a lady called Susan Younger, who worked for Morton Fraser at the time. And she was a big advocate of mentoring. And she put me in front of a middle aged man partner in
Okay.
Morton Fraser.
Okay.
And I just started to talk to him and told him like all my like fears and everything like that. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Right.
Best thing. I
Okay.
don't think I'd be where I am now if I hadn't done that. I
Mm-hmm.
think that it was a real crossroads. So when I joined Women in Ag in November 2024, and that first interaction with them all, I joined saying the bombshell of I'm joining, but I'm doing this to launch a mentoring scheme.
Okay.
So it has kicked off in November 24. It's just taken a long time to get to where we are now.
Yeah.
And that's basically because we wanted to make it as straightforward as possible and the least time consuming for me,
Mm-hmm.
because that was an important thing. Um, and, you know, we went to the Scottish Government, who are brilliant with Women in Ag Scotland, and asked them for money to revamp our website and to include a mentoring portal in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's getting worked on at this moment in time. And fundamentally, people will come to us, ask to be a mentee. We will
Mm-hmm.
then give them access to the portal, and it's a bit like Tinder. They'll be able to see the profiles of the mentors.
Okay.
The agreement is you have one mentor at a time over
Yeah.
a 12-month period. If you want to do more than that, you can. But what will happen on the website is when that person says, I've had enough, I've got enough people, or I'm just happy with one, they will be greyed out. So you
Okay.
won't be able to select them. And then they could have a waiting list almost for that person.
Yeah.
Because there is that fear factor. I've got that fear, not to be big headed, but I've got that fear factor personally,
Yeah.
because I'm the one that's like out there in the face of it, and I keep promoting it to everybody, and I'm like, oh god, I hope they all don't sign up for me because I can't do this.
Well, that's it. You've got to balance your workload, haven't you? And
Yeah,
and the mentor needs to get as much out of it as the mentee. I think you've got to balance what both people are doing it for.
completely. And I think it's important to understand what a mentor role is, and I'm not sure that a lot of people do. A mentor role is for the ideas to be bounced off you, it's not for you to provide the answers.
Okay.
So it's almost having that communication skill to extract the answer off the mentee.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So yeah, I a little plug. I'm looking for mentees and mentors. So
Okay.
anybody that wants to do it can just get in touch. We were doing it from a practical farming point of view to the ultimate business point of view as well.
Okay.
So it's every spectrum across the way. And if somebody's got a specific skill that they want menteed in, and we don't have somebody lined up for it, I will try my hardest to find that person.
Okay.
I have a huge network of people, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
with all over the years of doing stuff. So yeah, they'll all be getting hunted down to ask to help.
Fantastic. So we'll talk a little bit about what the mentor needs to provide to be part of the scheme. But in terms of the mentees, what sort of people are you targeting? Is it new starts? Is it people from agriculture? Is it just women? Those sorts of things.
The only criteria to it is you've got to be a member of Women in Ag.
Okay.
So that is the only criteria.
Yeah.
You can be at any stage of your career. You can be starting out. You can be in your 50s wanting to try diversification, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only criteria. It's a free service to any member of Women in Ag, male, female. You've just got to be that member.
Okay. And it's a free service. Is there a certain number of hours that you envisage that a mentee would get from their mentor?
We would say we've set up a guidelines, but we've said that can adapt to however they both feel.
Okay.
So it's a minimum of 1 hour every month.
Okay.
With a 12-month period, but that can change on their relationship, however they want to do it.
Yeah.
But that's the commitment that we would ask the mentors to do
Yeah.
initially.
Yeah. So that from the mentor's point of view, then, what sort of people are you looking for? Have you got some signed up? Is there any gaps that you want to tell us about, and we can see if we can find some more mentors for you?
Oh yeah, there's loads of gaps.
Okay.
Because I've not been that vocal about it as of yet. It's very much my team in the bank.
Okay. Financial covered.
So
good.
yeah, so we've got that covered.
Yeah.
We have the committee member. A lot of the committee members have signed up, and that's there's a diversification of what can be offered with that, because the committee is full of different people, farming, non-farming, doing both farming and a professional career. So there's a real mix to that.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to be a mentor, I would be more than happy to speak to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we can learn skills and confidence off of anybody in any sector. It doesn't just have to be agriculture.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not from an agricultural background at all, but the fundamentals of just listening to somebody and working through ideas with them is exactly the same in farming as it is in any other business. So I'll always be looking for people who wants to help people build their confidence, because that's what this is about. This is about building the confidence, helping them with their ideas, and maybe turning these mentees into mentors eventually.
Yeah.
That would be quite a good thing to be able to say.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of people who are looking to do both the roles. They want to be a mentor and a mentee.
Yeah.
And I think that's great, because I think it's important to understand that this learning journey in life just doesn't stop at any point. It's constant, and you just keep it going.
Yeah, I think that's great, because I would, if I was to put myself forward, I'd fall in that category as well. I feel I've been in my career a while now. I could mentor younger staff coming in, but then for developing your own career, I obviously work in a professional environment, but I've also got a farm at home, and it's hard to balance those two things. So if you could speak to someone who's also doing that, even if they're the same sort of professional level as you or the same experience on the farm as you, it doesn't really matter. As you say, they can be from any walk of life. It's just someone to bounce those ideas. So I can see the benefit from being both. And it's from what you're saying, it sounds like the main thing is building confidence.
Yeah, that's the huge thing. I mean, I remember coming into this job, and I'd worked in Edinburgh for so long and came back to country life, basically. And I remember a farmer's wife being asked to leave the room when the banking was getting talked about. And I was like, this is not right.
Oh my goodness.
This is really, really not right.
Yeah.
And life has moved on hugely since that. We're 12 years down the line and it has been moved on. But if I can change the confidence of one person through this program, that'll be amazing for me.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you just need that one person to invest in you, and it can be transformational.
Yeah.
And I think we as human beings all have the capability to do that for each other.
And what would you say, for anyone that's listening, thinking they would like a mentor? You obviously had that crisis of confidence yourself that you talked about
Hmm.
earlier, and went and had the confidence to go and find a mentor. That in itself is quite a hard thing to
Yeah.
do, to get the confidence to go and ask somebody, well, could you mentor me? Can you give me a bit of help in my career? What would you say to anyone that's listening and maybe thinks, oh, I think this would be great for me, but I'm just too nervous to ask?
Um, if you're too nervous to ask, you'll not be too nervous to send an email.
Okay.
Sending an email is a lot easier than asking a question
Yeah.
verbally.
Yeah.
So anybody who doesn't feel that they have that confidence, send us an email
Hmm.
and we will help. Now, that might be to decide that just now isn't the right time for them to do it if they don't feel that they've got that. But Cora and I are both massive advocates of speaking to people
Hmm.
and building their confidence. So we can speak to anybody on email. We have had a couple of people just ask to speak to us, like call us, like for us to call them.
Yeah.
We've got no issues doing that.
Okay.
It's got to start by that first approach, and it's you having the confidence to have that first approach. But in reality, what can go wrong? You can decide it's not for you at that moment in time.
Yeah.
You're never going to have any of us slam a door in your face. So all I would say is if we're at an event, come and speak to us. If you're not seeing us about, send us an email. If you want to send messages through the new website, do that. It's just that initial conversation that could kick off anything. It could, I mean, me going to Susan Younger all those years ago was because I had been at an event at Morton Fraser and she'd mentioned mentoring.
Okay.
That's how it started.
Okay. Yeah.
So if I can get this message out about our mentoring scheme, then I'm hoping that plants a seed into somebody that they do have the confidence. And you can speak to any one of the committee. They will be able to put you in touch with me or Cora. But yeah, just have that courage just to make that first step.
Yeah. And it sounds like it's going to be a fantastic scheme for anyone to get involved. And you've mentioned that the website's being remodeled or rebuilt
Yeah.
at the moment. So where can people find information? Is there somewhere they can sign up yet? Or
So at the moment, it is just a case of dropping us a message on any of our platforms, so any of our social medias, or dropping an email into the generic mailbox. The old website is still there, so people can still find us there. The new website is amazing,
okay.
and I know I'm biased, but it is amazing. It's we've ran competitions and things like that to have like members' pictures in it. We are trying to just get everybody engaged in like using it more, because I think it was a great thing before. I just don't think it was used to its full potential, whereas now we can get it all singing, all dancing. So yeah, any of our social media platforms, reach out to any of the committee members or just drop us an email. But everything can be found on our Instagram and Facebook.
So your website isn't currently live to sign up for the mentoring scheme, but it will be soon. Is that correct?
It will be soon.
Okay.
So we're in the final stages of it just now.
Okay.
This is why we've kind of held back, because it's so much easier to have it on a digital platform than having to send out email after
Yes.
email of matching people up. So we've held kind of back on it. So it will be launched before Highland Show.
Okay, fantastic.
Which will be exciting. Yeah, we'll have the breakfast on as usual, and I'll be doing a bit of chat about the mentoring scheme at the breakfast again. But yeah, it is really, really exciting. It feels a bit surreal because it's not live yet.
Yeah.
But I really, really hope that people see the benefit in us doing it.
I'm sure they will. And I think just while we're on the subject of Women in Agriculture Scotland, a common thing that I think people always get confused about, and we'll try and clear this up a little bit now between us, is Farm Advisory Service Women in Agriculture Activity and Women in Agriculture Scotland, because you guys quite often get tagged as FAS and I get tagged Women in Ag Scotland. So what do you see the role of Women in Agriculture Scotland within the industry?
So I see it as we're the voluntary side of life,
Yeah.
shall I say.
Yeah.
So I think what happened is government came out with a task force, split it into two areas where we do the social and voluntary aspect, and FAS and yourselves do the training, practical kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not speaking out of turn here because I know you're on the same page, but we both would like that to be more working together
Yeah.
going forward. We get it all the time. In fact, this morning I got a message about the event that we're holding in Kelso, and I'm like, no, that's Faz's event.
I know it.
But we will do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I think there is a lack of understanding, but we're very much about the social and being the voice
Mhm.
of the members.
Yes.
And anything that we can do with FAS or for FAS, we certainly will do that. And I know you guys will do the opposite.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just more about, we've just done an event down in Dumfries, flower arranging event, which was really, really successful. And then we've got another event in a few weeks' time in Turk and Connell's office about new entrants, and Colleen, that's on our committee, is going to be chatting about that one. And then obviously we've got the breakfast at the Highland Show.
The big event. Yeah, I never miss it. It's
no.
always a great start to the show going to that, because you see so many faces on the first day, first morning,
Yeah.
straight into the showground,
Yeah.
bacon roll, cup of tea, good catch up, and
Yep.
it sets you up for the day. I think I love that.
It does,
Yeah.
it does. And we're doing it a bit different this year. So we were up in Orkney in January, Cora, myself and Iona. And we were just having a chat with the people up there and just basically saying, what can we do more? So this year the breakfast is getting live streamed.
Oh gosh, an extra level of technological stress on the day, but I'm sure it'll go fine.
Oh yes, yes. So we're assured by the Highland Show that this is achievable. So yeah, it's a bit weird to think this year you're speaking not just to the 150 people in the room.
Yeah.
It will be more than that, and then we will save the recordings and have them on our platforms.
Okay.
So anybody that's not available can still see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we're doing a few different things this year, but I'm not going to spoil it all.
No,
I'll leave some surprises.
We'll need to keep an eye on your socials for that, Julie. That's great.
Yes, and please do. I would encourage any member to keep an eye on them in the next few weeks.
Okay. That's good hot tips. And yeah, just to clear up the FAS thing, the Farm Advisory Service, as you say, we do the sort of more practical, and I think the keys in our title, it's advice. So we host currently 14 women in agriculture groups across Scotland, including as far north as Orkney and down to the borders. And ours isn't a membership thing. You don't need to be a member, or there's no fees to pay. It's a free events that we tend to run across Scotland, usually 3 in each area per year, and anyone can come along and find out about those. If it's in the borders, you don't need to be from the borders to come. You can travel down from the Lothians or wherever. And I think ours is more about bringing women together to learn about something, on generally speaking, on a farm or in a diversified business, and it's something that they can take home and implement in their own businesses at home. But also linking in with what you're talking about is about building confidence. I've been doing this now since I think it was 2017. We started the Farm Advisory Service Women in Agriculture groups, and it's great now to see women that came along to those events quite tentatively, and now we're seeing them at general Farm Advisory Service events with men there. Because It used to be the point where I was quite often the only woman in the room when I was hosting a Farm Advisory Service event, and now we're seeing women that have gone to the Women in Ag events, either yourselves or through FAS, and then have got enough confidence, well, actually, I think I can go to that mixed event. I think I'll be fine. And it's great to see a much better gender balance at these events, and diversity is always good, isn't it, to get people along?
It is, and I think that's a great thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute great things to see. I think because I come from such a male dominated world, banking wise, it was very rare for there to be a lot of female directors, because most would have kids and they would have to take the career break. So we're seeing that change in banking world now. In fact, my team, there is 4 of us that are directors out of 6.
Okay.
So it's kind of went the other way. Yeah. So to see for you guys to see people move from your women in ag groups into your general groups, that must be great.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I want to get to the point where we don't need any Women in Agriculture FAS events, that it's just a FAS event and everyone feels comfortable going along. I think we are a long way off that. We are still a long way off that. But I love it when somebody new comes along, and we get people from the local council will pop in, or somebody who's maybe a nurse but they've got a friend who's a farmer, and they're interested, and you don't need to have this farming background. It's just an interest, and I think it's fantastic that we're getting people coming in and educating themselves and understanding a bit more about farming, and hopefully we get to the point where we don't need different gender groups. But the social aspect's always a really important thing for women in ag.
It is. Completely. And I think we were asking the committee members for the website, what is the success of Women in Agriculture Scotland?
Mm-hmm.
And technically, in the long term, it's not to have women in agriculture Scotland. That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
success. But as you say, I think we are a long, long way from that.
Yeah.
I think there'll always be the need to have something.
Yeah.
There will be the need to have something. But I think it's great. And I'm one of these people. I didn't know about farming until I came into this world. And it's a great world to work in
Mm-hmm.
and learn about. And I think it's good for everybody to understand, and you should be getting this at school level. Where does your food come from?
Yeah.
That it's an important thing, and I think it's great. I think Jeremy Clarkson, etc., have done wonders
Yes.
for getting agriculture out there. We just need more of that, and if we can encourage non-farmy people to come and join Women in Ag Scotland, that would be brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's good from a diversification point of view as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then finally, then Julie, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
It's still just having the confidence. Have the
Mm-hmm.
confidence to do what you want to do. I knew I wanted to get into banking. I did that. I knew when I came up with a problem with the confidence, I had to do something about it. So I did something about that. And then probably getting knocked back from Women in Ag the first time. It would have been easy to say, I'm not doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
But I did see something there that was kind of missing. So I think it's just having confidence in yourself, really. And I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't
No.
change anything at all. I've got the best job in the world. I love my job. And then I get to do a huge amount with Women in Ag. And I think it's important to highlight with Women in Ag Scotland that this is a social thing, and you meet people from different walks of life. On paper, Cora and I would never cross paths.
Yeah.
Never cross paths. And Cora's one of my closest friends now. And that's only came about because of Women in Ag Scotland. We should clash because we're exactly the same people from different worlds, and we
Mm-hmm.
should clash. We shouldn't have this closeness that we do. But it's amazing the people that you will meet through these type of organisations that you would never ever meet just normally. So if you are feeling a bit isolated, if you are feeling a bit lonely, just join one of the, either be it Faz, us, anybody, join a group, because everybody's there just for a good chat and a good blether.
That's a lovely point to finish it on, Julie. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Agri Culture. If you'd like to find out more about Women in Agriculture Scotland and their mentoring scheme, you can find the link and direct email address in the show notes. This episode was presented by me, Mary-Jane Lawrie, produced by Kerry Hammond, edited by Robbie Campbell in association with the Scottish Government.
The Farm Advisory Service Podcast. Audio advice on livestock, crops and soils, environment, rural business, and more. Brought to you in association with the Scottish Government.